Alright, what is going on everybody? DolphinDom here, and welcome back to another tutorial video on how to make a game mode that you guys suggest. Now today guys, SpideyPlays has actually suggested that I go ahead and walk you guys through building a advanced box fight map. Now before I start, I do want to let you guys know this will work for respawns or no respawns, and it is very simple to build. I'll go ahead and dive right into the mechanics right now, and I'll get through it as fast as I can. So there's a couple devices you're going to need. These are optional, but the granter definitely is required, so I'm going to go ahead and customize this granter, and there's a few settings that you have to change. First thing you want to make sure is on grant action, you want to make sure you have keep all, because it's going to grant multiple different items, and you want to make sure it keeps all of them. You want to make sure it equips the first item. This is just for convenience. It doesn't actually affect gameplay. You can have it be whatever item you want or no items. Then depending if you want extra ammo or not, you can toggle this on or off. I'm going to personally have it off because I'll have ammo be given through a granter. Then for cycle behavior, you want to make sure this is wrap. You want to make sure it's disabled on 6. This doesn't really matter if you don't have respawns enabled for your box fight, but since I'm going to be having respawns, I'll go ahead and check this. The most important setting though is cycle to random item and receiving, and we're going to go ahead and set this to channel 1, and the when item granted transmit on channel 2. So that is our first item granter down, but now we need to go ahead and make a couple more of these. So go ahead and copy it, and then go to this little asterisk because it will show you all the previous settings you've done. You can go ahead and get rid of the disabling, but for cycle to random item and receiving from, you need to make this channel 2 and this channel 3. So just up these both by 1. And then we're going to go ahead and do this 3 more times. Alright, now that we've gone ahead and done all 5 of those, we need to do one more. And this one will be for the material and ammo that we're given. Go ahead and customize it, and there's a couple things we need to do for this one. The only thing that we actually have to do is for the grant, it needs to instead be from current item to all items, because we want all the items thrown in here to be given to a player. The next thing is that when item granted transmit on, you need to get rid of this setting, so put it back to no channel. Now that we have all 5 of those granters, you need to go ahead and fill them up with all the different loot you need. For instance, this one can be all the different ARs you want them to be able to be given. This one can be all the different shotguns, all the different SMGs, and 2 different heals, or maybe a sniper and then just a heal thing, but I don't think you need snipers in a box fight. I'm going to go, for the sake of this video, and make these 2 both heals, and this be an SMG, shotgun, and AR. And then for this one, you need to decide how much ammo and material you want to give them. That is all decided by how much you put in here. Alright guys, so I've went ahead and created 6 item granters for you, and as you can see, this one has all my different ARs, this one is shotgun, this one is SMG, and these ones are heals, and they'll give me 2 random heals. And then on top of that, I do have the ammo and material that I will given all thrown into the same item granter. Then once you do all this, you need to go ahead and create a box like this one I have over here. Now I do have 3 of them already set up, but I'll go ahead and show you how to set up one. Now these will be the stalls that the player is spawned into to be able to play this box fight map. It's fairly simple to make, and the box can be however big you want, and this one can have as many spawns as you want wherever. It can be a 1v1, it can be a free-for-all 4-person game like I'm doing right here, or however you choose. But let's go ahead and show you how this is made. You need to go ahead and have some form of platform 1 tile below the spawning platform like I have just done right here. And then you need to go ahead and grab yourself a barrier. After you get the barrier, you want to go ahead and place it right on here, and you want to go ahead and set these settings on it. The first thing is you want to make sure it has blue force field. Of course, it doesn't have to be blue force field. It can be any kind of barrier you want. It could even be invisible if you wanted. For the sake of this, I like blue force field because I think it looks nice. Next thing, and this is very important, you need to make sure you check this from box to box hollow, or else they can't spawn in it. They'll be pushed outside of the box. The next thing is you just need to make sure this height covers the total distance of wherever you want to spawn them. For the sake of this, I have it go all the way up to the roof, but you don't have to have it go up to the roof. You could have it 1 tile, 2 tile. You don't even have to have the room be 3 tiles. The size of the room is completely dependent on what you guys personally want to do. After we do all that, you want to make sure this is going to go ahead and be put on channel 7. So disable and receiving is going to have to be put on channel 7 as well. That way it disables after a certain amount of time. Now you want to go ahead and get yourself a spawn pad so the players have something to spawn on. Now, one thing to note with spawn pads is you have to place them a certain way. If you want the player to be able to spawn this way when the game starts, you need to place it at a 90-degree angle like this, with these 3 dots on the back side of the way they're facing. Like so. So now they will spawn facing this way. For this, all you have to do is set the setting for when they spawn, when player spawned, transmit on to channel 1. Another thing you want to note is if you want to use this as the island start or not, it doesn't necessarily affect gameplay, but typically it's not the best kind of thing to do. to have players spawn inside the arena when they're waiting for all their friends to join up. So if you want to make a separate spawn room, just make sure you check this to no. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on yes because I don't have a spawn room for this map. Alright guys, so the only other thing that I recommend doing to get rid of the barrier, it doesn't have to be a timed objective. For the sake of this though, I am going to use a timed objective, and I've actually already set up the customization settings for this. So for time, I have it set to 5 seconds, but it can be 10 seconds, even though I think that's a little long. And then this text can be whatever you want it to be. And I have urgency mode turned off, that way there's no random siren before the box drops, but then again, you could have it on if you think that's cool. And then you start this on channel 1, linked with these two grantors right here. And then when completed, transmit on 7, which means after this timer is done counting, the barrier for the box fight will drop and the players will be able to fight. Now these last two devices I've also set up, but they're completely optional and don't necessarily have to be in your map for it to work, but I just think it looks nice. So first thing is I set up a speaker, and the only two settings I changed was sound distance to whole island and activate when receiving from 7. And this will play the accent 1, which is actually the default sound, which just sounds like this. So it's a nice little sound effect for when the game starts. And the last device I decided to go ahead and do was set up a HUD message device, which just says fight as soon as the game is over. And if you want this, just go ahead and copy all these settings for you right here. And then show when receiving from 7 is important, and then whatever text you want. And then make sure you have time for round start off. Now that we've gone and done that, we need to go ahead and set up some game settings. And first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at game. Now teams, I recommend just putting it on 16 just so that it's an even split. If you're doing duos, it's a little weird. I might get into that in a later video, but for the sake of this, we're just going to do 16. And voice chat you can have on all or team. It's kind of up to you if you want people to be able to talk to each other when they fight. If you want rounds, go ahead and change this. It just decides how many times the game will play before the official game is over. Now this setting is completely dependent upon if you want respawns or no respawns. If you are doing respawns, I recommend using eliminations to end to be your end game setting, but then again, you could also have it be a time limit. Either of these two settings will work if you decide to enable respawns. For eliminations to end, just set it to whatever amount of eliminations you think players should reach to be able to end the game and have them win. Or if you think after 10 minutes of them playing, the game should end and whoever has the most kills will automatically win. Either of those two settings are fine. I think for the sake of this, I'll just leave it on 5. The next thing is, if you don't have respawns on, you need to go ahead and toggle last standing ends game on. Again, this is a respawn one that I'm building, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this off. But again, if you are not doing respawns, turn last standing ends game to on. Then we're going to go ahead and go over to the settings tab, which is just some more default settings. And there's a couple things you can do here to spice up your game mode. The time of day doesn't necessarily matter. I have it on 2 p.m. for the quality of this video, so it's not night when I'm recording. The next thing is you can change how much starting health they have, 100%, and 100% of their health is 100 health. And you can change this to whatever you want, or however low or high you decide. And you can also decide if they have shields or no shields. Right now it's set on no shields, but I could do 100% or I could do 50%. For the sake of this, I'm going to put it on 50% so you guys can see how that works. And then go ahead and toggle infinite ammo off and infinite resources off. But you only have to do this if you choose to. You don't necessarily have to do this. If you want, you can toggle these both on, and then you can go ahead and delete this grantor right here, because this grantor gives you ammo and material. So you can do either of the two. You can have the grantor, or you can toggle those both on so they have infinite material and ammo to work with. The next thing I recommend doing is going ahead and turning off building can destroy environment to no, environmental damage to off, and structure damage to all. The next thing you need to make sure you go ahead and do is eliminated players items to keep if you are doing respawns. If you're doing respawns, put this to keep. If you are doing no respawns, go ahead and put this to drop or delete, depending on if you want them to get the loot. I also recommend toggling glider redeploy to off, just because I don't really like glider redeploy. Of course, you could leave it on if you want it. The next thing I suppose a lot of people will like is if you have respawns or no respawns, you can do this if you choose to, but you can go ahead and throw in some siphon if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and do 50 health of siphon. Some more settings you need to do for the UI is go ahead and put scoreboard win condition to eliminations, and you can put some tiebreakers just for some effect, like we could put assist just so people see how many assists they got. You could put eliminated, see how many times they died. That is all we need to do for this game, so if we go ahead and start the game, I will go ahead and show you guys how this works with the loot, the box dropping, the fighting, and etc. Alright, now that the game has begun, you'll see we'll be given all of our ammo and items. We have 50 health siphon, the timer countdown went away, it says fight, the box dropped, and you can go ahead and build. Players are able to build before the timer is up, so if they want to box up real quick before it drops, they can do so. And that pretty much wraps up this game, guys. Now, I'm not really a box fight player, so don't mind my horribly mistaken builds, but thank you so much to Spidey for suggesting this. I really actually did like making this. I've never made a box fight map, so it was interesting to figure out all the different settings I need to do for this. I might make a box fight map in the future if that's something you guys would be interested in. Well, let me know down in the comment section down below what game mode you want me to do next. And if there's anything you don't understand about this game mode, go ahead and leave your comments and questions down below. I will go ahead and explain them all to you as best to my ability. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider using my code in the item shop. It really means a lot when you guys do. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much. Take care.